Hey, welcome back to the videos. This is part 2 of the theory application for banjo, and in the first video we looked at the 12 notes and we used an example of playing some of the notes on the 4th string. What I'd like to do is pick up from the previous video and go through all 12 of the notes. Now, we stopped at the 5th fret in the last video. We stopped with a G note, but let's pick up where we left off, but we're going to continue on the 4th string. So we know we have to have a starting note to play all the notes on this string. So we know the open 4th is tuned to D, right? So that tells us all we need to know, because we're going to play chromatically, which means we're going to play on the 4th string 1/2 step at a time, or 1 fret, and we're going to play one note that follows the next note that follows the next note without skipping over any notes. So let's pick up from the previous video. D. And remember, if we're going up in pitch, we're going to call those sharps, but it's the same notes as the flats in harmonic equivalence, remember. So we have D, D sharp, E. E and F are always right together, nothing ever between them. We have F sharp, G, and that's where we stopped in the previous video. Let's keep going. G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, and guess what? D. Whenever you go start on a note in all the notes of music and you play all the notes and you arrive at the same note again, you have gone 1 octave. So the 12th fret on your banjo, you notice, usually if you have those little side position markers, will have 2 dots. There'll be a piece of pearl or a pearl dot in the fingerboard. That marks a very important place in the scale of your banjo. That's the halfway point. That's another reason you have harmonics on your instrument there. That's a mathematical place where you can divide these notes up, divide the scale of your banjo. But it also marks an octave location. Now, remember what we talked about in the first video, there's only 12 notes. So regardless of which notes you start with, if you go through all the notes, which we just did, you arrive at the same note again, and then they repeat. So we're at the 12th fret on the 4th string, which is the first octave D note. From here to here would be an octave. We can keep going on this string and reuse the same notes again, because we only have 12. So that's D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, and then we can't do another octave because we run out of frets. If you had a long neck banjo with some extra frets, you could play another complete octave. So we have this D and this D, and we almost have 3 octaves on the D string, which is pretty good. Three octaves is a pretty good range, but we can't quite make another set of 12 notes. Now, again, we call those sharps going up, but remember it's the same notes going back. So if this was a C, we know the next note would be B, because B and C are also always together. There's nothing in between B and C and E and F in the 12 notes. You'll notice that immediately. So we have C, B, and this would be B flat, right? Then A flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C. So we're going basically backwards in the vocabulary. Then C is B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E and F are always together, B and C are always together, D flat, and then D. So we basically have used all 12 notes, all 12 of the building block tones in music, but we've started on a D and used that as our starting point. But it doesn't really matter, it's always 12 notes, it just depends on where you start in the 12. So let's move over to the 3rd string. We know the 3rd string is tuned to G. So, hey, wait a minute, something just occurred to me. The 4th string at the 5th fret, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. The 4th string at the 5th fret is the same as the open 3rd. We only have have 12 notes, so there's only so many ways they can repeat on the fingerboard. So that's something interesting to take note of. The exact same note that we're starting with on the 3rd string is also the same as the 4th string at the 5th fret. That could be some valuable information later, so we'll just take a mental note of that. And maybe there's something relationship-wise about that note being on a different string that may help us with some music, so we'll discover that later. So let's just go back to the 3rd now. The 3rd string open is G. So we're going chromatically again, and we're going up in pitch, so we're going to call the in-between notes sharps. G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, remember B and C are always together, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. Hey, 12th fret again. So I'm starting to discover something. The 12th fret is the halfway point in our chromatic scale for all the strings. Pretty nice. So we started with a G. Now we've gone 1 octave. So we're in the next set of 12 notes. And we're going to play exactly the same 12 notes again that we played from here up. But they're just going to be an octave higher. So G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F. Now if we reverse that, again we'll have the same notes, but now the in-between notes, the inharmonic equivalent, the fancy theory name, would be the same notes with now a flat name. So we know that's an F, that would have to be an E, E and F are always together, E flat, D, D flat, C, B and C are always together, B flat, A flat, G flat, F, E and F are always together, E flat, D flat, C, B and C are always together, B flat, A flat, G. So you see the same thing is happening on the 3rd string. You basically played the same notes on the 3rd string that you did on the 4th. Just a different starting point. Okay, so let's move over to the 2nd string. 2nd string. And I'm about to run out of time on the video, so I'm going to go through these pretty fast. But B is our first note, so we know C would be chromatically right after it. C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. There's the octave. Then we'll pick up from there. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. And if you reverse those, you'll have flats in between instead of sharps. Okay, so let's move to the 1st string. D. Hey, wait a minute. The 1st string is a D, which is an octave or 12 notes higher than this string. But since they're both tuned to D, it doesn't matter what octave they're in, I should have the same notes on the 1st string that I had on the 4th. D, D sharp, E, F. So let me try the 1st string. D, D sharp, E, F. Yeah, it's the same thing as the 4th string, just an octave higher. F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, and then I run out of room again. So the 4th and the 1st string, if I could keep going, they're the same note, just in different octaves. So that's pretty easy, I can repeat that. What about the old 5th string? Well, we know it's tuned to G, so let's pick up where we can actually fret the 5th string, which is going to be here. G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Same thing. So, same as the 3rd string, we're just starting in a different spot. So there are all the notes on the fingerboard. And remember, if you go from one note to the next on each string, you're going chromatically a half step. See you in the next video. Thanks.